SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming to you from Williams Grove Speedway. Yellow Breeches 500 winner, Cody Hartlaub. Cody, not only your first 410 win at Williams Grove, all in one night, just getting it over with. How's it feel to kind of get over that hump?
Feels amazing. We've been doing this 410 deal full time now for 2 years, and it's amazing. I never thought, I grew up wanting to do this so bad, and it takes money, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes everything. And to get our first 410 win tonight and to get it at Williams Grove, such a historic place, it's just amazing.
Last year we were talking off air here, and you said, a couple seconds in the Tron car third, just couldn't complete the deal. Does that come kind of get in your mind a little bit during the race, especially during all the cautions we have?
Yeah, the 358s were one thing, but the 410s is a completely different animal. And I'm learning that the hard way. It's a mind game, it's a car game, it's a motor game. It's everything. It takes everything to win one of these races. And tonight we had it. They always say you got to lose a race to win one, and we definitely lost a couple that we probably should have won last year. And I'm just so happy to get this for the guys.
So how important was it to get the jump at the beginning ahead of TJ and set the pace and to be able to really control the race, especially with how tacky the straightaways were, which kind of made it a quick surface?
Yeah, it was everything. It's Williams Grove. We won off the front row, but I'm not ashamed of that at all. It takes, tonight it was time trial, then you had to heat race good, we heat race good, and then once we put ourselves in that position, we had to execute, and we did. And the track was fast, that's not a lie, but you still got to have your car right, your motor right, and everything right to be able to get it done.
You were able to get in traffic there, and they weren't catching you. This car was really good in dirty air as well, racing around some lap traffic. Had some close moments, but were able to make it through. Were you concerned a little bit being in traffic, or did it matter at all that?
When we caught them the first time, they were in a pretty good group and pretty tight together, but luckily the first couple were running the bottom, and I was able to circle those guys. But once I got to the guys that were kind of running the top, you kind of had to time it, make sure you get your slider all the way across and all that. It was definitely a quick service, but off the curb it was I'm not going to call it slick, but it definitely didn't have as much grip, and you just had to make sure to hit your marks when you were going through lap traffic.
The cautions, it's tough to get a rhythm. And were you counting down laps there?
I was after halfway. Once I saw the halfway mark, I was counting down the laps, and in my head I knew it was 5 to go, but I never saw the flag guy throw 5 to go, and then next thing I saw it was 2 to go, and I'm like, all right, so my math is right. But the cautions helped, I think. Definitely the first one, it got us out of that lap traffic, and then once we got back to lap traffic on the next run, they were more spread out, so I didn't really have to worry about getting around cars as quick.
First win in a 410. Compare that. You won all through your career in different forms or different disciplines. Compare this to winning in those other divisions and your first win in those divisions as well.
This is everything. I've dreamed about this my whole life, and we finally did it. And, the only thing I wish is my family was here. They're not, unfortunately. My wife's at home, my kids are at home. But I've dreamed of this my whole life.
Do you question sometimes, hey, am I 410 worthy? Should I be here? And does this win kind of put that in the background and end any thoughts like that?
For sure. 100%. This deal is a mind game. And, the only thing I can relate it to is 2 years ago, or the beginning of last year, I was talking to Cameron Smith when he moved up to the 410s, and he did it a year before me. And we were talking, and he goes, this 410 deal sucks. He goes, 358s were fun, 410s is terrible. And, he's not wrong. It's not that it sucks. It's just the competition, the mind games, the everything has to be perfect to be able to win. And I'm working on my mental game. We're working on the car, and we're finally clicking.
Well, congratulations on the win, and enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you. I got to thank everybody. For sure, Pat Brewer. He spends everything he has on this car. Justin, we brought him on board this year to turn wrenches, and he's been great. Griffiths Plumbing Services, Moose Blocks, J Fuels, Bigum Appraisals, TNN, Her Electric, everybody that's a part of this deal. We use every dollar to get here, and we're finally cooking.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, Jeremy.
SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming to you from Port Royal Speedway, Living Legends Dream Race winner, Chase Dietz. I think we could put the second place stuff to rest. It's been less and less and more wins. Obviously, just got to be pleased to come out here and win a $20,000 to win race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, that's the biggest race I've won in my career. I was extremely pleased with the speed we had all night long. You know, I felt like, we've been good at home, but we go out, away from home, and it shows we're not that great. So, going to Eldora, Knoxville, and stuff in the last few weeks has definitely helped us figure out what we needed to, I feel like. And obviously coming back here tonight, we were able to take a few different looks at things, and I feel like definitely make a lot of gains. So I was extremely pleased with the speed we had all evening, and just excited that we can take that into the rest of the season, especially here at Port with the Tuscarora 50 coming up.
Ashton Torgerson, maybe surprised you guys on the start a little bit, got out front, setting a good pace. You got that restart on lap 19. Take us through there. You're able to get a pretty good run around him on the outside of him in turns 1 and 2, and you were able to grab the lead. Yeah,
from the initial start, I didn't get off 4 very good on the start, and I just tried to slide Ashton just to hopefully maybe get my spot back at that point. But after that, I was more so waiting for my fuel load to burn off, and hoping traffic was definitely going to come into play. And I think we had a caution at some point there early. Just didn't take off again, and I ran through the bottom of the middle, and I could get to him, and I needed to be closer, going down the front stretch. And that last restart, he didn't take off well, and I took off a lot better. And I figured he was going to go to the top because that's kind of where he'd run the whole time. But I think when he got down the front stretch, he kind of changed his mind just because he knew he didn't get a great start. So he kind of peeled to the bottom, and I was able to just roll the middle, and car stuck, and I felt good from there. Had to protect for a lap and a half there, just till I couldn't see him, and after that, just kind of hit my mark. So the end of the race, I still felt very good through that. Didn't get into traffic there. We were just kind of peeking into traffic, I think, when the white flag was coming out, but it was kind of nice that wasn't a factor at the end. So made it a little easier on my end there. But Ashton, with Jake and Bobby, he's been extremely good all year long. So hats off to them guys for being as consistent as they've been, and being all over the place as well, not just at one track. So it's tough no matter where you go, and when you get these wins, you certainly need to appreciate them, because it's just so difficult to get them. And we've had our chances at a ton this year, and we've probably only gotten about half of them at this point. So that's racing, and I'm just extremely grateful to be with this team and these guys. Tommy, Jeff, and Isaac, they bust their butts. Both Dougs show up, here at the track. They do their thing and help us out throughout the nights. And obviously John and Kelly giving us the opportunity to do it. So just great group of people. Very fortunate to be with them, and glad that we were able to pick off another one here.
You mentioned Knoxville. How much does it help going out there and maybe getting your teeth kicked in a little bit and then coming home? I mean, it really makes you, it seems to me, it makes you reevaluate or evaluate your program and work harder to get better.
Yeah, I mean, look, honestly, I think we were all frustrated at Knoxville. We know what I feel like we were capable of. For what we accomplished, I don't really think we should be happy with kind of what we did for our first trip out there, but we knew there's a lot on the table there that we've kind of left. But when you look at those races especially, you got to put in your time. You got to get out there. You got to be in those events and race them and build your notebook up before you're going to go out there and light the world on fire. But for us, that was the kind of the game plan. Just get some notes, and we knew what we were capable of. I feel like we could have done better, but again, that helped us when we came home to reevaluate what we were doing. And look, we did that here in the last week once we got back, and I think we went in the right direction here for tonight, and we're only going to continue to learn. So we're going to keep building off of that and take it in here to the rest of the season.
big stretch coming up. You have the fair races. You have big races in Central Pennsylvania, Tuscarora 50, National Open. Now's the time to get quicker. Do you like where your team's at right now?
Absolutely. I feel like we've had good runs here at Port Royal, but I feel like we've been okay. The way I feel like I can maneuver tonight all evening, that's something that we've been working towards, and I feel like we definitely hit on it or got really, really close. So I'm excited, obviously to pull off this win, but more so looking towards the end of the year here where, again, all the big shows are coming up, and I feel that as a team we are well capable of, being in contention and winning those races. So I think we'll just take that momentum, continue to work at putting our heads together and see if we can just get better and better. And at that point, hopefully we can pull off one of those big ones at the end of the season.
Well, congratulations on a big one tonight.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. I appreciate everybody joining us now and whoever pops in as the show goes on. Before we get to the chat and take phone calls, you can reach us with via phone 1-844-543-8589. Also, some storylines that we might be hitting on tonight. It's all up to you guys, of course. Obviously, we all know the news that happened last week with Donnie Schatz and TSR splitting. So he had to get another ride, and he found what he was looking for with Big Game Motorsports. It lasted one night. He, first lap of the A main, got upside down in turn one. Apparently there was more damage than expected. Ended up in the Lundstrom Motorsports car at Jackson Motorplex last Saturday. He finished 10th. And it came out yesterday. I reached out to him early in the day via text, and he said he was going to be in the Lundstrom car the next 5 races. So Donnie's in there tonight at Mississippi Thunder, which should be starting momentarily. And we'll see where he ends up after he leaves the Midwest at the end of August. News came out today. Justin Sanders will be running the entire West Coast swing as a substitute driver in the Ridge and Sons racing machine for Aaron Reitzel. Reitzel still needs more time to recover from a broken foot. Sanders, who we'll talk about shortly here, I'm sure we'll talk about him throughout the night. It's a perfect fill-in for them. He's good on all the West Coast tracks, good at Skagit, good at Chico as well. This week's Gold Cup kicks off Thursday. And speaking of Sanders, all that chatter about him not winning a National Series event, he ended it last week by beating High Limit and the locals in California at Placerville Speedway. He passed friend and fellow California driver Caleb Montgomery. Coming to the white flag lap, led the final circuit. He gets the win. It was a huge one for RSR because it moved them to second place in the owner standings for High Limit. For Sanders, it's the obvious. Definitely gets that it's a relief to get that monkey off his back. Last thing before we dive in, Carson Macedo sweeps the World of Outlaws weekend in Minnesota, gets the win at Ogilvie, also wins at Jackson. He now has 10 wins on the season. This is the 4th year out of the last 5 that he's cracked double digits. Carson Macedo definitely has developed into one of the best drivers in the country. So that's where we stand. We're going to dive in and we're going to go to the chat or take a call, whatever you guys got. All right. Jeremy, what was your thoughts on Spencer Basin's performance at Tulare and Placerville this past weekend? Not surprised. He's running a car wrenched by Paul Silva. I didn't think that Baston couldn't drive or anything. has 5 World of Outlaws wins. It's sporadic and there's flashes and in between. Obviously, it hasn't been good, but I still think he can drive. And he timed well, which put himself in position. Timing's everything in these national series races, whether it's high limit or the World of Outlaws. So I thought he did a good job. And again, not surprised at all. I believe it was 2nd and 5th, if I'm not mistaken. And I expect him to be decent this week at Chico. Paul Silva puts a good piece on the track. And again, if Basin can qualify well, he can run up front. All right, what else do we got? Gold Cup this weekend. Who is your pick for top 3? I got Day, Sanders, and Rico. I think that's pretty good. I'm not saying it'll be in that order. I think Sanders is going to win another national touring race this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was this week. He looks good right now. He's getting more comfortable in that car. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he wins the Gold Cup. He's won races at Chico. Corey Day's going to be tough. He's won that race before. Rico, obviously, coming off a weekend where he wasn't really good, wasn't a factor either night, which was kind of surprising, especially at Tulare. So, I expect Rico to bounce back with the big money on the line. So, yeah, those 3 guys, easily the favorites this weekend. All right. Ooh, that might be it. Are we done? I can get with the 90 at 9. Oh, nope. We got Will on line 1. And Will, I was wondering if you'd be the first call this week.
Well, usually I'm the last call, but I thought it was important for me to be the first call this week.
There you go. There you go.
And just for everybody's information, that was an excellent race at Placerville. I mean, Tulare was good, but that was an excellent race at Placerville.
Yeah, obviously, if it comes down to the end like that, and there was some movement through the field as well. Yeah, I agree with you. And I was wondering if you, like I said, if you'd be the first call because a local win in a high limit car.
Yes, it still counts as a national win, no matter which car he's in. I was hoping that he would do it at Tulare, but a couple things got in the way, and Corey Day was just magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I agree with you. I think Sanders has got another one in his pocket or in the bag if he can stay up front for this next couple of weeks.
Well, he times well. And again, I said that a couple times already. He times well. That car is fast. And Justin's good. I gave some stats on a 90 at 9 yesterday concerning Justin. It's not like he's run a ton of national series events since 2017, the beginning of 2017. It's like 59 of them, which isn't a ton. And I think only 31 of them were in his home state. So, we made a big deal about it, but I mean, there's guys who have run more who haven't won or took longer to win. So I think he's really good, and I think he's going to win another one.
Yes, I do too. I thought it was kind of funny that, he was pretty calm, like it wasn't, he didn't realize it or what, but I knew he won, but he was so calm. And then it just cracked me up when he said, well, I thought it was at a local show because I was racing California guys.
Yeah. And I think too, just, it meant a lot to him, but he wasn't as emotional was the word he used as he thought he would be. But that doesn't surprise me either. I think he's had a little bit of a change in attitude. He talked about that, how, he moves on quicker. He doesn't dwell on it as much. So I don't know, obviously, how he feels throughout the week, but, it was a good win for him. And now we can all stop talking about that he can't win a national series event.
Yeah, now the talk's going to be, okay, when's he leaving California?
Yes, it'll just move on to something else. It always does.
Yeah, and one more thing. The Narcos were not very well represented in this last weekend.
Yeah, I didn't think Golubic had a very good week. I don't think Dom had a good week. DJ Neto, again, like you said, the regulars, so to speak. I don't think they fared very well. But I mean, are you surprised?
No.
Okay. Well, then there you go.
But I was surprised. I was surprised at Tulare when Rico couldn't make it out of the heat race, couldn't make it out of the B, and had to take a provisional to get in the feature.
I was shocked by that. And because it's a place he's really good at. You know, I think if you look at Rico's stats for the year, I think we do see this high-low thing going on. I mean, when they're on, he can rattle off wins with the best of them, but he has some drop-off for like 2 or 3 races. There's these gaps, and we're in one of these gaps right now. We had 2 races last week. Now, the thing is, when he comes out of those lulls, so to speak, he wins. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's sitting in victory lane on Saturday night.
I would agree with you again. You know, they're too talented not to be in the feature. You know, they're not too, you know, they're a very talented team, crew chief, driver, owner, parts, sponsors. They're very well kept. It just surprised me, you know, it just really surprised me. But, you know, like you said, there's lulls and gaps, and when he comes out of it, he's going to be swinging, that's for sure.
Yeah, just in time for 2 6-figure paydays and then heading to Port Royal, a race he won last year for $58,000. So, yeah, it's good time to come out of it if he does indeed come out of it this weekend.
Well, thanks again, Jeremy, for taking my call. Look forward to talking to you in the future, and go Sanders.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Will. I appreciate it. All right. We got Bruce online too. Bruce, what do you got?
Hey, Jeremy. Hey, I was just wondering, over the weekend, I kind of scroll through Facebook a lot to see like what gets posted and stuff. And I was just wondering if you saw any news about what happened at the Reigns Motorsports hauler being hit by a train. Now, what kind of thing does that do to a sprint car team? Are they going to be able to finish the year on that? Or do they just, you know, kind of like regroup and just call it a year and maybe regroup for next year?
Well, I mean, it all depends on their insurance and how it's dubbed. You know, if it's like a deer, which is considered an act of God, because I know this because, well, I've hit enough deer in my time, so they consider it an act of God. But there has been a report that the Reigns and Hagar combination is going to continue, and that they will be racing. So I would assume that they either add more equipment, which it wouldn't surprise me, and or it's the insurance is taking care of it, and they'll be made whole again, as they say. So they will be racing. It's got to be a hit if you lose all that equipment. I mean, it's never good. Mule, tools, parts, wings, fuel cells, you name it, in something like that. But I think they probably have enough equipment at their disposal, and I'm quite sure that they have the insurance they need to make themselves whole again and not miss a beat. I think probably the hardest part would be getting equipment. You know, if you had a motor get messed up or something, you know, the turnaround time takes there's definitely some time with that. So other than that, though, it seems like everything's a go and they plan to race.
I mean, I seen the video and it looked pretty bad. I mean, nobody was injured and everybody but when you looked at the video, they kind of explained what happened too.
Yes.
When the hauler trying to cross the tracks were just too high. The hauler caught the tracks and couldn't move.
Yeah.
And they just had to get out.
Yeah. I mean, you're bailing at that point. And I know somebody said about a loss. I saw a train can't dead stop. Okay. They're too big, too heavy. You just don't stop on a dime with those things. So I think they're probably lucky it wasn't worst. So, good that they're coming back. Again, with who it was, I wouldn't be surprised if they had good insurance. It's going to cover everything, and they'll be good to go.
Okay, that's all I really wanted to know. Hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate you calling.
Yep.
All right. Moving on. After his run at the Nationals, is it time for Sammy to run a full 2026 Knoxville schedule? It sure was awesome to watch and would be entertaining. No. If he wants to, fine. It's entertaining in small doses, I think. And look, I thought Sammy, I always enjoyed listening to Sammy. I always enjoyed watching him race. I saw him through the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And again, I was surprised with how well he did at Knoxville. But to run every week, I don't even think that's something he wants to do. I think it's one-offs and things like that. I just don't see that being something that every week, whether it be financially, the team, so on and so forth. So I don't think that's in the cards. I would be stunned by that. All right. Any early predictions for silly season with all that's happened so far? As far as I do think there's a couple things coming down the pike. I think you could see something in the coming weeks with an addition to a team. I'm working on that now. I think Donnie's going to land on his feet. I don't think that'll be a problem. I know of 2 or 3 teams now already who have reached out to him that are what I would consider good possibilities. Tony Stewart Racing isn't going anywhere. I was on the phone with them again today. They're not, this idea that they're folding up shop, and I've seen all the stuff online. It's crap. They're not folding up, at least with what they're telling me. So they plan to be around. So look for them to have another driver. And I think it'll be sooner rather than later. I don't think it'll be announced World Finals, or maybe it will, but I think it'll be locked up before then. I think they're working on it now already. So I think those are the things to look for. It's TSR, where Donnie Schatz lands, and maybe a couple other small moves. And I think one team's there's going to be a significant addition. So I know that's vague, but I can't let the cat out of the bag right now. Pete on line 3. Pete, what do you got?
Hey, Jeremy. Hey, on the locals on the West Coast, what about that region? Are those drivers that good, or is it something about those tracks in that region that just lend to the guys who can run them a lot?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think they're younger. They start these guys so young out there, and their feeder divisions, the Outlaw carts and their micros, they kind of fit. And I've heard Kyle Larson talk about this. They really do. Making the jump to a sprint car isn't a huge leap. So I think that's part of it. And I think you had a crop out of there as well. You had the Geos, you had the Buddy, Rico, you had the Selzies, you had all these guys running against each other. Iron sharpens iron. And I think we've seen them come out of there, and they've been really good. They adapt well because their tracks sometimes are goat paths. I mean, they're not manicured, perfectly. And then they get out on these other tracks, which, they're really nice, or they're really smooth, and they drive hard. Look at your California drivers. They all drive hard. I challenge you to find one that doesn't. I mean, Gio's probably the least aggressive, and I've seen aggression out of him the last 2 years. So again, I think it's just all those things together. Feeder system. They have a lot of money out there. Their tracks are different. They're up on the wheel every lap. And I think their feeder divisions are really good. So I think you throw that all together and you get the best young drivers in the country.
It's fun watching them race out there. I mean, I think it's awesome when any of them go out there and race. It gets, it's entertaining for sure to see them, because any of those guys, it seems like, can pull one out. I mean, to me, Caleb Montgomery, I mean, that's the story of the week to me. And I'm not dogging on him. That's just, it's crazy that he goes out there and, leads laps, almost wins the race. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good run. I know there's this theory out there that they have no money, and that's, from what I gather, that's not the case. They're actually, they have some, they do, their families well off, I guess is what I want to say. So, I mean, that's not as surprising to me as maybe everybody calls it David versus Goliath, and I don't quite look at it that way. But I mean, if that's the narrative that people want to push, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, he's had some good runs this year, and I'm sure at some point he'll finish one off. He has a 410 win this year. I know. I kind of chuckle though when people want like Shark Racing. I saw that today. Somebody said Shark Racing should hire him. And I'm like, okay, let's not get carried away. But
yeah, I mean, you talked about this, I think it was this morning. I mean, Shark's doing pretty good. And I am not a fan of Aston, but I think he's exceeded everyone's expectations.
To say
people were just, they thought they'd lost their mind when they hired him, and maybe they have. I don't know. Again, I'm not his fan, but you can't deny that he's done better than I think anyone gave him credit for doing.
Absolutely, and that's what I was getting at when I said that. I have talked to numerous people who said, "Hey, he's done a good job." I didn't think he'd do this well. Now, I didn't criticize it as much as some other people because I've seen this kind of happened before, but you know what? I didn't have him doing this well, and he's exceeded my expectations. And I guess Jacob and Bobby Allen know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, he probably exceeded theirs too. And then just a quick side note: a guy I know, he works for one of the major railroads.
Yes,
I'll leave it at that. And according to him, if your car gets hit on the train tracks, you are trespassing, and that is your problem.
Yeah.
And the train can actually take you for damages for that train being stopped, any damage done to the track. So I've seen bits of that video, not all of it, but he says, if the gates close and anything happens, the railroad can actually take you for the damages caused and the delays and everything. There's basically no scenario where you can get hit on the railroad tracks and it not be your fault. So I don't know how that'll play into, the insurance game on that. I wouldn't think it would be, because their trailer got hung up. Not, they didn't run the gate.
Yeah, they didn't run the gate.
Their trailer got hung up on the tracks. Yeah, and so I'm sure they'll be fine. But it kind of makes me chuckle every time he talks about a train hitting something, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're suing them for damages." And I'm like, you didn't hit a navigator. And he's like, "Well, they probably shouldn't have went through the gates then." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they're cutthroat." But hey, whatever, that's business. I don't know. It's funny to me.
Well, I mean, and they have cameras.
And you said
they have cameras too. And if you run the gate, you're going to have a problem. In this case, like you said, that wasn't the case here.
No, I think they'll be fine. So you said you've got Day, Sanders, and Rico at the Gold Cup, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
I think it's hard to bet against Day. He's so good out there, and he's good in general. I think it'd be a crazy person to bet against him.
Well, he made a mistake at Placerville last week, and that you I mean, you gotta. it's just yes, he's good. Yes, he's a really good driver, but
you got to finish the race to win the race.
you got to,
and admittedly, I didn't watch the whole thing, but that's what can slow him down. I feel like is he gets a little too checkers or wreckers. But hey, he wins a bunch of races doing it, and nobody that's putting a car under him seems to mind.
Don't worry, he'll be in the mix this week.
Yeah, all righty, man. Have a good night.
Thank you very much, Pete. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. What else do we got? What's better, Woo or High Limit? I think it depends on the night, and I don't think there's a clear cut. Obviously, you have David Gravel, who I think, other than Kyle Larson, is the best in the country. I think it goes in spurts. I mean, I've been at races where High Limit has beat up the World of Outlaws, and I've been at races where the World of Outlaws have invaded and beat up High Limit. It really is situational. I don't think that one is just clearly better. Because I can point to too many instances. I mean, Brad Sweet, High Limit, went into Beaver Dam and won. Rico Abreu went into, when I was out in Wisconsin, beat the Outlaws at Plymouth. Those are High Limit guys. Aaron Reitzel has performed well against the Outlaws. Buddy Kofoid invaded High Limit at Eagle and won. So I really believe it depends on the night. I think it's close. I don't think it's that much of a gap. People want to say that, but they're cherry picking. Look at it in totality. Relax, bug control. Just enjoy your call. Dave on line 4. Dave, what do you got for me?
Hey, Jeremy. Last week, Rodman there was talking about the face of sprint car racing kind of between Donnie Schatz and Steve Kinzer.
Yep.
I kind of think you might agree with me. If you look at just the numbers alone, 20 championships, I don't know, maybe 800 wins. The family, I've never seen a family from the dad, Sheldon, Kelly, Randy, Mark, Steve, that whole family of winners. And if you look at the competition he was up against back then, like Wolfgang, Swindell, Hod, Blaney, Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
I don't see no comparison. I'd set Steve Kindred to me all day long.
Well, I mean, definitely that's the argument. But, Dave, here's what I would say. It depends on your generation. I know people who go to the races who barely know who Steve Kinzer is. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now it's hard for me to fathom that, but because all you have to do is look at, even on a website and see the records, but it becomes generational. And people who have watched Donnie Schatz in an age of parity. And I'm not saying Steve Kinzer isn't. I'm not saying Donnie Schatz is. I'm saying I can pick out an argument for both of them. And Donnie Schatz has done it in an age of parity where more guys have had the same equipment that he's had. That's the argument.
Mm-hmm.
And for Steve will tell you that they had an advantage on a lot of guys at times. Doug Wolfgang has admitted this. Sammy Swindell has talked about it. But, I mean, to me, it doesn't make them any less great. It's an interesting debate because obviously we're a week later, and you're not the only one who's asked me about that when Chase Rodman called in and said that, which is good. I mean, I think it's a healthy debate. We see it in every sport. Jordan versus LeBron. You have Montana versus Brady was for a long time. And now you have Mahomes. So I think it's a debate that's going to live on, and I think it's generational. I've seen them both. and talked to both of them. And I mean, Steve Kinzer he could do more things in a sprint car. But again, he had Carl Kinzer, and then he had Scott Gherkin. Donnie Schatz had Ricky Warner. I mean, you're talking, it's a team deal. It's not like any of them had chumps turning the wrenches. So it's an interesting debate.
When it comes to traffic, it wasn't nobody could match him in traffic driving.
Yeah, I mean, he was really good in traffic, and if you didn't move, he moved you.
I seen something on there that him and John Stambro, a USAC driver, had found Steve's the first car that he ever drove, that white number 11, and
yep.
They're restoring it, and Steve was going to bring it out somewhere, and he said he was going to drive it, take it around a couple of laps, take it easy. I said, yeah, I'd like to be there that night. I guarantee you that car's going to get wrung out for a couple of laps.
Well, he's got to be able to get in it. And I mean, he is older.
Yeah.
So I like I said, it's a debate that'll rage on, and it depends how old you are and how much you've seen.
Yeah. Okay, Jeremy. That's all I got, buddy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dave. I appreciate it.
See you.
Look at what Chase Rodman started. We got a debate. Is the Gold Cup the closest thing the West Coast has to a crown jewel event? In my mind, because at one time it paid $50,000. It has the history, obviously. Some might say the Trophy Cup, but I'm not going to count a 360 event as your crown jewel. I can't go that. I just can't go there. So I would say, yes, the Gold Cup, even if I was looking at a fourth crown jewel, with the Knoxville Nationals, Kings Royal, and Williams Grove National Open, I think the Gold Cup is the next one. So they again, you got to have history, you got to have a sanctioning body, and you got to pay a lot. So it covers all the bases. I'm not going to put it in a crown jewel deal yet because they went back. It went from 50,000, then dropped back down to in the teens or whatever it was. And that kind of knocked it down. Now Brad and High Limit are trying to boost it up again. So it's only a matter of time till, not that I'm the final say on it, but in my mind, it will probably get back to being the next crown jewel that we consider. Gold Cup or Dirt Cup? Gold Cup. Gold Cup. Dirt Cup doesn't have enough national attention to it. You don't have High Limit there. You don't have the World of Outlaws there. So, great event. I think but I got to say, what they're doing with the Dirt Cup, I like that there's a regional event that doesn't have sanctioning attached to it. It's something for your locals and your regional guys. We used to have that with the Tuscarora 50 because the All-Stars were kind of regional. They were in Ohio. So it was kind of a regional deal. So I like the Dirt Cup and I like how it's being built up. But I mean, if I'm looking at prestige, history, and all encompassing, I'm looking at the Gold Cup. Question with weather in the area and hurry up formats. Both series have shown a whole sprint car show can be done in 2 to 3 hours. Why are they still 4 to 6 hours after proving otherwise? If I knew that, I probably wouldn't be sitting here now. I don't know why they can't. I don't know why this sport doesn't have a sense of urgency more. And look, the Knoxville Nationals this year showed that you can have your pop in circumstance and you can get a show done in 2.5, 3 hours with the finale, which normally just drags. It drags. They want to do one thing to help the Knoxville Nationals, make it kind of that sense of urgency we had this year. You still had the driver intros, you still had the fireworks, you still had, the opening ceremonies. This sport, it's a great point. This sport has got to move. It's got to evolve. You want your main division's got to be done by 10. If you're starting at 7:30, it's got to be done by 10 at the latest. I think High Limit does it the best. They do it the best. They put an emphasis on finishing every night. And I've been to those events. I don't feel it's rushed. I don't feel rushed. I never heard anybody walk out of the races going, I wasn't here long enough. I've never heard it. So it's a very good point. I don't know why you'd ever want to be there 4 to 6 hours. Plus let's look at economically, you're paying your employees longer. Some do a flat rate, some do hourly. Why the hell would you want to pay your people more? There's a lot to it, and I don't know why. Shows should never be 4 to 6 hours unless you have a delay for something. Jeremy loves 2 or 3 support divisions. I avoid them like the plague. I'd rather have my fingernails pulled out with a pliers. I don't like support divisions. Now, look, I'll go to Lincoln and they have a 358 class. I'm good with it. I'll go to BAPS and they'll have super sportsman, but they don't get a full field. It's just something as filler. Support division should be filler, and that's it. It shouldn't be 2 hours for your support division. No, I do not love support division. I understand why they need them. You need them for the back gate because you're not putting enough butts in the seats. And you need maybe to widen the track out. That's another thing that sometimes you need. But it doesn't mean it has to drag. We got Mike on line 5. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Jeremy. How are you guys doing?
Doing okay. Trying to think of a 90 at 9 for tomorrow.
Yeah. I see NASCAR released their 26 schedule, and they've changed a few dates around.
Yeah.
And the Saturday night race at Richmond is now up against the Knoxville Nationals.
Yep.
So I guess you could assume that Larson won't be there.
Yeah.
Unless he won't be there Saturday night unless I guess weather could happen, in Richmond, and but I don't look for him to keep up the streak of being there for however long it's been, 8 or 10 years probably.
Yeah, I found this whole thing to be weird because I was actually, before the show started, I brush up on some stuff just to see if I missed anything that might come up from callers or on the chat. And I saw this earlier today, and there were people mad that thought NASCAR should build their schedule around the Knoxville Nationals, which I found to be silly. That's like saying Major League Baseball shouldn't schedule any games around the College World Series. They can't, because where do you draw the line of, okay, we shouldn't run over the King's Royal, or, I don't understand why people were mad. Let's face it, Knoxville moved they pushed back a week last year, or for next year. Next year's race is pushed back a week. So again, Larson's probably not going to be there because he's not going to be able to bank on the weather being bad. That can change on a dime. So there'll be no Kyle Larson next year at the Knoxville Nationals. And yet 22,000 people are going to show up. So.
Yeah. To be totally honest, I have a hard time hearing you on my phone.
Sorry.
750,000 miles on a motorcycle, 20 years sitting in a race car, and another 20 years of sitting in the stands. My hearing's not what it could be.
It takes a toll, buddy. It takes a toll.
So I will let you go. Good evening. Appreciate your show.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. All right. Moving on. What else do we got? Silly season hasn't been at the end of the season for years. Isn't that the truth? I mean, we had a couple years ago, we had the Macri DeWeese deal, and that was the week of Kings Royal. That might have been the earliest. Now, there's been subtle moves made earlier than that, but as far as major moves, and I think, and I explained this, I think in a 90 at 9 of last week sometime, silly season, I used to go to Charlotte and just be working the pits nonstop, trying to get information. I remember Joey Saldana when the whole modder car and other things that happened down there. It was Charlotte. You're looking at stuff would start to leak out in October, and then November it would happen. Now stuff starts happening around Knoxville. You start getting, I have a list on my whiteboard, which I won't show, of things I need to check. Silly season stuff I need to check. So, and then, the Donnie Schatz thing came out of nowhere. The Spencer Basin thing, we all kind of thought it was going to happen, but I thought it was going to happen at the end of the year. I didn't expect it to happen when it did. Once they got to Knoxville, I figured it's going to go to the end of the year. There's no reason not to. Well, so much for that. So, like I said, we have a couple more things coming down the pike here. I think some of it's going to surprise people. I think we'll only have one major move. Other than shots going somewhere and the Myers situation, how that plays out, and where Gio goes. Those are the things that are the majors. And then there's one other thing I'm working on that what I would consider major. And after that, I think it'll be kind of little small stuff. But yeah, silly season, it just ramps up earlier and earlier every year. Geo to JMR 14 or the 15, maybe. What do you think? Well, here's the problem with the 14. If he doesn't go back to 2 cars, which he says he's not, no more 2 cars on the road, that takes Gio out of the mix because he's not going to just bail on Corey Day. So next year, we don't know Corey's NASCAR schedule yet. So he's going to run some, though, unless they just take him out of the equation totally. But say he runs 20 races. Well, Gio's not going to bow out to him. And Jason said they're not going to run a second car on the road. So if everything kind of holds true there, I don't see Gio in the 14. I see Corey in the 14, and I see them filling in with guys or one guy to run 20 races, something like that. So I think it takes it out of the equation there. The 15's possible. He has a relationship. His family knows Tony. Obviously, that could happen. Not sure if it will. I think Gio right now is locked in that 7BC thing the rest of the season. I'm sure he will talk to them, and that's a possibility. But the 14, that's going to be hard if Jason Myers sticks to only one car. I just don't know. I don't see him fitting in there. Hi, Jeremy. How's it going? What about Chase Dietz, the year Chase Dietz is having in the Stamen Motorsports 23? It's funny. I was thinking about it on the way home from Port Royal on Saturday night. Did I expect this? And yeah, 6 wins. I really, really like his consistency. He could have at least 4 more wins. I think he's finished second, 7 times? So just even take half of those. I think you're looking at close to a double-digit win season. I had him penciled in for like 6 to 8 wins, which he's on pace for that. But what really kind of maybe impresses me more is his consistency. They've been really good. Now they need to improve a little bit in series races. in this area, which is time trialing. So, but again, if you pull a bad number, that can all dictate that. So I'm impressed. I really like his consistency more than anything. The wins, I'm not surprised. I thought he would win more at Port Royal, but regardless, the consistency's been really good and the wins are going to come. I still think he can get to double digits. And I mean, he's only 4 away. And I think this is a team that we're going to see get better and better as it goes on. Gio to the 15 in 2026. Maybe. I think there's some other options out there. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not giving anything up. You never know. But yes, I mean, everybody thinks that. That's the favorite. If you were giving betting odds on where Gio landed, I'm sure I'm sure the 15 would be 3-1. Probably, which is, that's the favorite. That's favorite money there. So I'm sure, I don't know if I agree with that though. We'll see. We'll see. Seems like all travel teams struggle at Placerville. I mean, Brad's won there before, I believe. I don't know enough about Rico at Placerville, but Rico struggled all last weekend. He should have been really good at Tulare, and he wasn't. So I didn't, Brent Marks. I mean, Thorson came through the field. He finished 6th. Buried himself again. He's just got to time better. So, but Brad was up in the top 5. So yeah, you could say that, I guess. Half the traveling teams come from California now, so they should be decent there. Any chance Donnie goes west with I think you mean Lundster car. I don't think so. That's a Midwest car. I would be stunned if that thing goes out to California. Donnie's going to have to get another ride for out there. I mean, there's a couple options, I think. We've seen Jason Sides put 2 cars on the track, and they're not. Here's the other thing. They're not out there that long. The Outlaws aren't out there, for a long extended period of time. I think there's 21 races left, and 3 or 4 of them out there. So, I mean, I could see him being in a second Jason Sides entry. That wouldn't surprise me. Jason's done it before. But definitely not the Lundster car. That would shock me. Tyler Walker went back missing. Is he still looking for a ride? I have not heard anything about Tyler Walker since he went back to the West Coast. I don't know if that's good, bad, or what. I've heard stories, but I mean, I'm not going to get into that. Don't know. I've not heard anything about him. And the one thing is, it's been quiet. It's been quiet. It shows how people forget quick. That was the story at Speed Week and going into the King's Royal and then coming out of the King's Royal. We had to deal with all that nonsense, which was easy to see that was going to happen, considering all the players involved. But again, it just disappeared. As quick as it came, it disappeared. So hopefully everything's okay, but I've heard nothing as far as a new ride. Who do you think Port Royal should honor in the Living Legends Dream Race while they are still alive? Ooh, good question, because I can't remember all the guys they've honored. I mean, they've had this race for a while. I have to think about that, actually. who they should honor, because I don't know the qualifications either. That's the other thing. I mean, they've done Schaefer, they've done DeWeese, they've done Kaufman, they've done all they've done John Zamitis, they've done car owners. Lucas Wolf has run there a lot. I don't think they've done. I like this year's. Barry Camp ran there. Mark Smith won titles there. I think that's good. I could, they did. They called Mike Wagner to Living Legend. I think they did him too. I mean, you could do a Logan Wagner. I mean, he had 5 championships in a row. He's not old, but I mean, what's your qualifications? So there you go. Outlaw carts can almost race year round. I did it 12 years. Indoor in the winter. And do you have winter in California? And outdoor in the summer. Larson's son ran last night, and tonight at Cycleland, lots of seat time. Yeah, I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about the Outlaw carts and how they prepare you for a sprint car. That it is a natural progression. So I think California has probably the best sprint car feeder divisions in the country. I think that's something Central PA lacks. The 358 division was supposed to be that, but it never really, I mean, we've had it at different times. There's been some sporadic movement, but, like the most recent is Cody Hartlob, who got a win at Williams Grove the other night. I like Cody Hartlob a lot. I'd like to see, obviously, there's a guy who's looked good last year at Speed Week. Some lulls, but he's only been in it for a year or two now, or 2 years now. So again, California has a perfect feeder division. There's money out there. It just all lines up. Their tracks are racy. You got to race every lap. You're not cruising out in California. And let's face it, there's a lot of weapons in the back of those fields you got to pass. So, of course, Justin Sanders and Dominic Scelzi and Golobic chasing you. That's another, those aren't 3 jump guys. I mean, they've earned their way. So, no, California's got it going on. California feeder system in full swing with 14-year-old Jet Barnes and 15-year-old Austin Wood winning 360 races at Placerville this year. Yeah, I've been watching Austin Wood, and I like what I see with him. Now, I have not seen Jet Barnes, admittedly. I have talked to Mr. Jovan Schriltz about this, and he's the one who actually turned me on to Austin Wood. He really turned me on to Buddy Kofoid when I went out there in 2017. It took me 2 laps to watch Buddy and say that guy's got the goods. You can tell it's car control. It's how they attack a corner. It's just doing the right things. And so again, I think Austin Wood's the next guy. I like him a lot. Now, I've not seen Jet Barnes, but I will check it out. That's for sure. Besides PA, Ohio, Indiana, Iowa, and Ohio, which we said twice, what state would you say has the most sprint cars? Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Illinois. I'd say Wisconsin. The Wisconsin area, I think, is really good. I enjoyed going out there. I know this probably sounds repetitive. I said it last week. I enjoyed that trip. I enjoyed Plymouth. Really like Plymouth. I liked the speedways. I thought the race was good. The fans were super. The fans let me say that again. The fans who I interacted with, they were nice. They were good. I liked the trip. So I'd say Wisconsin, a lot of cars out there. They have IRA out there. So they have kind of a regional deal as well. I think Mississippi Thunder, where the Outlaws are tonight's in Wisconsin. So I'm anxious to see that when I get off air here. So yeah, Wisconsin definitely. 5 features run at Eldora in July. 4 won by high limit drivers. The other Central PA driver, Wu 0 for 5. Yeah, it's very situational. each series has its good guys who can win races. Then you get into the lower tier guys of the series, and I think the Outlaws have a slight advantage with Bill Balog. I think Bill Balog last week, 2 top 5s, ton of experience though. Like Balog a lot. So I'd probably give the edge there. Danny Sams is struggling. Cy Lynch is struggling. Chase Randall's really struggling. So I'd probably give that edge to the Outlaws. Cole Macedo, Chris Wyndham, Bill Balog, Garrett Williamson I like a lot. But your top guys, I think your top guys, it's a push, depending on the night. Update on the Schatz situation. He will be running the Lundster car for the next 5 races. So then after that, I have no clue. And I'll reach out to him probably. I'm sure he might not even have a clue. Who knows? As for TSR, I'll give you some bonus. Kerry Madsen will race with TSR this weekend in the Dakotas. Originally, he was going to run at Knoxville. Apparently, he's putting somebody in his car. I have not called Kerry yet to find out who that is, but I talked to TSR today, and Kerry will be running in the Dakotas with the World of Outlaws this week. Thinking of doing another premier group for Gold Cup. Oh, Corey Nishaw. Gotta love Corey. Sanders to the 87 car or Sweet for the final premier driver. Corey, I always look at this as you want to make it as difficult as possible on the people who are picking. So to me, it's you want to make people think. So whichever one makes people think about taking another guy, because you don't want it to be a slam dunk pick. I mean, Justin's better right now in the 87, but I think people would pick Sweet more just because he's going to finish in the top. I just think he's viewed a certain way. That's a tough one. I'll probably get with you off air on that one. I have to think about that. But to me, you go with the one in the premier group. It's going to make you, whatever scenario works where you're going to where people might pick multiple guys instead of just focusing, and you don't want 80 or 90% taking the same guy. So whatever you can do to shake that up. That's a tough one though, because I think Justin Sanders can win the Gold Cup. Brad Sweet obviously can, but there's some transition there. Casey's the crew chief. Has last week solid, stretched, but you're talking about winning. In a premier group, those are the guys who can win. So I don't know if Sweet's there right now. Why is every big race on the West Coast have Cup in it? Why does every big race on the West Coast have Cup in it? I don't know what that. Oh, Gold Cup, Asparagus Cup. Used to be Pennsylvania. We had the Keystone Cup, Morgan Cup. I think it's a sprint car thing. I don't think it's necessarily a California thing. Look, nobody wants to call something the classic, tribute, clash. I mean, there's only so many adjectives you could use to describe something. So, and I know it's a noun in a name, but you got Cup, Clash, Classic, and then you start getting into Brawl. Brawl's another one that's used. That's more of a Midwest thing. I've seen it here. That's a good question. I don't know why it's always Cup. But they have Classic out there a lot too. Time for High Limit to get rid of a choose cone when 100% of first 4 rows just line up status quo. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the stats on it. If I was going to choose something, or choose, ironically, to switch, I don't know if it'd be the choose code. I'd start with the work area, the same as I would with the World of Outlaws. So we can't have too much change at once. People's heads will shrink. So let's work on the work area first. The choose code doesn't bother me. I'm indifferent to it. Jeremy, is Kyle Larson running the Gold Cup? If not, is he running the 360 tomorrow night? I would assume he might run the 360. He's not going to run the Gold Cup. It's chase season or quote unquote playoff season. That's a no-no. I could see him running a 360 maybe, but I don't see that. I don't see him running for the Gold Cup main event. Any news on silly season for PA? Not really. The teams here are pretty set. I mean, Freddie Raymer's in his own team. Danny Dietrich with Gary Kaufman, he's not going to let go. Troy Wagaman Jr., he's having a better year than he has. So, I mean, he's improved every year, and he's every bit as good this year. So I don't see Hefner making a move. Chase Dietz just went to Stamen Motorsports before this year. They're having a good year. I don't see. I expect it to be pretty quiet in PA this year. Baston is going to be a problem at Gold Cup. 3rd, 4th, 2nd, last 3 prelim nights. Chip on his shoulder. I'll say podium finisher on Saturday. I mean, if he is, I wouldn't be stunned. I mean, he's in a good car. Paul Silva's the crew chief. Obviously, he's going to be fast. So, yeah, I mean, I still put Day, Sanders, and Rico ahead of him. So, yeah, maybe 4th, 5th, something like that. Depending on the circumstances, does it rubber up? Does it rubber up? And if he's out in the right spot, why not? Could happen. Jeremy, this has been killing for a while. What is the trophy on your shelf that your hats are hanging on from? We need to know. Oh, it's a deal from the Eastern Motorsports Press Association. Is Writer of the Year thing. So I keep all that stuff normally buried somewhere, but I got home and my daughter put it on my shelf and I just haven't moved it. Addison, my daughter, just said, "Oh, put the statue there." So it's a trophy of a race car driver, and that's what they give away for Writer of the Year. I didn't win a race. Where do we buy the shirt you are wearing? I get asked this a lot about shirts and merchandise, and I'm afraid to invest in merchandise because I don't want to get stuck with it. I just don't want to get stuck with it. And so this is the last one I have of the light gray. And I just haven't bought. Look, in the off season, I'm thinking about coming up with a different logo, maybe with the 90 at 9 on it, or the deep dive, or something with the YouTube. Maybe I'll get some more and try and sell them. I'm just always so scared to do that. I mean, I always wonder who the hell is going to buy my stuff. Come on, but I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Maybe I'll just jump in and get a bunch of these and try and sell them. Who knows? Looks like the end is finally here for Beaver Dam Raceway. The grand finale on September 19th and 20th. Another great track officially gone. Yeah, I liked Beaver Dam. I was there, and I was glad I was able to see it before it went away. And it's a nice facility. It was a nice facility. Definitely one of the good ones going away. Will Ashton get another win in the 1A this season? Ooh. Well, Babs Motor Speedway is running this weekend. I'm going to say no. And I'll say no because there's mostly big races left. You have High Limit coming to Port Royal. You have the World of Outlaws coming to Lincoln and the Grove. You have High Limit at Path Valley, High Limit at Lernerville. Not saying he can't win. He could win this weekend here. I think it's going to be difficult. So I'm going to say no, but that doesn't mean he can't. And you know where he could win? He could win November. The finale at Baps. I think Baps is his best chance. So what else do we got? Oh, we already answered that one. That's Beaver Dam. Do you see any switches from Woo to High Limit and vice versa going into next year? Yeah, I do, but I'm not going to. I can't give it all away. I run a website here, buddy. I could see one or two. I don't think there's going to be some mass defection on either side. The 18, I don't know if they know what they're going to do next year. That's one where because they talked about it in an interview with me. I think you could see a player move one way or the other. I could see some of your lower teams from High Limit not even running Outlaws, just coming off toward. It's been a rough year for Danny Sams. I thought he should have ran All-Stars this year. I thought that would have been perfect to compete for a title with the All-Stars, get more track time, not as hard on the team or his parents. I don't know what's going to happen with Chase Randall next year. I don't know what's going to happen with Cy Lynch. So, and on the Outlaws side, look, what happens? Let me throw this at you. What if Jason Myers gets a franchise and then sells it? If you're a big team with the World of Outlaws, wouldn't you maybe purchase the franchise and just you can move up the line with it on your 2-year average? Just something to think about. You all put Gio on a pedestal. He's not a top 10 driver. I think at different times he is. I don't think your top 10 guys are solidified top 10 guys all the time. I think once you get past 7, I think if you get past 7, I think it rotates. I think it's fluid. I think at different times Gio has been. I think Gio would tell you he hasn't had a good probably year. And I mean back to last year at certain points. But we'll see. We will see. I do think, though, that he's been in that top 10 discussion. I just think your bottom 3 spots in the top 10 are fluid. It depends. If Baston has a few more good runs with Silva, will his stock for next year rise higher than Schatz? Ooh, no. His stock will never be higher than Donnie Schatz's. Because if nothing else, sprint car people are nostalgic. So regardless of what's going on the track, it's still Donnie Schatz and Spencer Baston. And that's not a slam on Spencer Baston. Donnie Schatz is still a 10-time World of Outlaws champion. He's still won the Knoxville Nationals 11 times. He's all those things. So it's nostalgia. And look, Baston's running for Paul Silva. That's going to come into the equation. I'm not saying either way because I think everything's situational. I mean, I think you could have a car where guys don't run well and you could stick a better guy in it and it'll go better, but it doesn't mean it's going to win 10 races. So I don't think Spencer Baston will ever have the sprint car street cred that Donnie Schatz has. Plus there's merch too. You're going to sell more merch. Whether we like it or not, that's part of it. Hey, Jeremy, how crazy is it to think that Lance Dewease is 59 and can still win? Can you think of anyone else that was winning in their late 50s? I think Lance is competitive, but it's not like he's winning 10 races anymore. Okay, let's not move the goalpost. I think he has 2-3 wins this year. Is it 3? So I'm not ready to just drop and say, he's winning. Don't let, I think Lance can still get it done. I think especially at a place like Port Royal, when the track suits him. Yeah. I mean, he has 2 wins this year. And again, like Lance, think he's very competitive for 59. But there's some nights it's going to be off. I mean, track conditions, whatever it is. So, but I like Lance, and I think he's going to be a threat come Tuscarora 50. Port Royal, he could drive blindfolded. And I know the Grovey's really good too. So, but Port Royal, it's an equal. Not a lot of guys are really, really good there. And if Reitzel's back by Port Royal, is he going to be healthy? Rico Abreu, really good at Port Royal. Brad, so at Port Royal. Brent Marks can be good at Port Royal, but he's also had some bad runs at Port Royal. So then you're getting down to your local guys. Macri. But Macri had a fuel line problem on Saturday night. So again, it's very situational. And I think we need to add that context into it. But Lance Dewease last week looked really good at the end of the race, got to 3rd. So I'm not taking anything away from him. But yes, he looks good. Hot take, Donnie Schatz will never win an Outlaw feature again. I'll take that bet. I think he'll win an Outlaws feature again. Definitely. Simple. More left in the tank. Schatz or Aaron Rodgers? It is getting close to football season. Donnie Schatz. I think Aaron Rodgers can't move anymore, and he's behind a Pittsburgh Steelers line that, quite honestly, Usain Bolt couldn't stay on his feet. That line is not good. Good luck. So I'm going to say Donnie Schatz has more left. Why? Wasn't Kerry in the hunt for the Knoxville title? I don't think so. Austin McCarl locked it up already. What happened to Tim Estenson? They did a story on him right around Huset's. Did he get hurt or something? I'm not 100% sure on that. I remember them doing a story on it, and I think he owns a car, and he's just drawing a blank. It was some story like that. I just forget what it was. But I remember they did something, I believe it was on Dirt Vision or whatever. Somebody was driving for him, and I don't know if it was injury or something like that. With the Kings Royal, Knoxville Nationals, and National Open, does Sprint Car Racing need another crown jewel? And if so, what race should it be? If you talk to some drivers, they think everything that pays over 50,000 is a crown jewel. I do not subscribe to that theory, but everybody has their different opinions. It would be the Gold Cup would be the next one. It has history. They have a sanctioning body now, and the payouts back where it needs to be for a couple years. So a couple more years, that'll be the fourth crown jewel. Do we need it? No. It's just, I guess it's something for me to talk about. Is based, I did a lot of Spencer Baston tonight. Is Baston going to be in the 57W for World of Outlaws West Coast Swing? I have no idea. Why not Donnie Schatz? Just floating that out there. Not saying. I just saw Estenson is crewing for Jack Dover. That's what it was. I knew there was a story out there, and I just couldn't bring it to memory. Thank you, Lauda. Why not Donnie Schatz in the Kozlowski car? Makes sense. So I don't think Spencer Baston will be in that car for the Outlaws swing out there. I mean, if he wins the Gold Cup or Skagit, maybe. I don't know. They said West Coast, so we'll see. I'm late to the show. Does the Schatz have anything for the West Coast yet? No. As far as I know, he does not. According to our conversation yesterday. Why does the new breed of sprint car fan hate success and young winners? Has that always been a thing, or is it the new weirdos who are fans? Can always count on Sugar Bear. I think society's changed in general. I'm not going to get all psychological on you, but society's changed in general. And we live in this world now where of conspiracies, people are cheating, people are getting ahead by cheating, even when it's up on the up and up. And I just think we're in a society now where we want to tear things down. I think it's all societal. And I think, like anything, any sport, it's a microcosm of society. So it just makes sense. Back in the day, if somebody like Stevie, good example, Stevie Smith Jr., when he came around in 1984 in central Pennsylvania, he was adored and he was good. He's one of the top 5 young, teenage drivers I've ever seen. Stevie Smith Jr. He was every bit as good as, my top 5 youngest drivers ever in their teens. Not in any order. Larson, Steve Smith Jr., Buddy Kofoid, Gio Scelzi, and Corey Day. They're the best 5 teenagers I've ever seen. But Stevie Smith Jr. is the only guy in that group from back in the day, so to speak. So no, we didn't have as much of that. We didn't have as many young guys. You had to pay your dues, work your way up. The Lance DeWeeses of the world, they didn't just burst on the scene as teenagers and win. You had to carve your path, so to speak. So no. I just think it's societal. It's social media with the influx of all that. We didn't have that years ago. So, but then again, you have some people, no matter what they do, they think they're great. People think they're great and they ignore their faults. So I can't really pinpoint it. Do you think Borden goes back on the quote unquote road next year? He's second in all-star points. He's, I believe, 61 behind Caleb Henry. I think Caleb Henry wins that title, which I said that at the beginning of the year. I think Caleb Henry, I like Caleb Henry. Does Devin go back out? He could. He has his, I don't know how it's working with his business. He has that power, that pressure washing business. So I'm not sure. I mean, is Brian Grove going to bring him back out? Are they going to stay together? He's led 66 laps with the All-Stars this year, which is the same as Caleb Henry, the most with the Tour, but he only has 1 win. So I'm not really sure how that works. If they win the title, I could see them coming back. I don't think he's going to get a bunch of calls from other teams on the road, though. So that might be his best option. Was Silver Spring Speedway in Mechanicsburg a nice track? Yeah, it was great. They used to get 50 to 60 sportsmen a week. Good racing. The facility was decent. It was a small track. They ran sprint cars there once a year. It was part of Speed Week. I used to go there all the time. Food was good. Everything. Yeah, no, Silver Springs was good. It was good. It was a hidden gem on the Carlisle Pike in Mechanicsburg. Who is the better driver, Danny Lasowski or Mark Kinzer? Oh, man. Which Mark Kinzer? The one with Carl? Look, those are two Hall of Fame guys and you're splitting hairs. I don't know if I can choose. I think Mark Kinzer was better at places like Eldora. At Knoxville, Danny Lasowski was better. I think in PA, Mark Kinzer was better. That's tough. I'm going to sound like I'm copping out here and not picking one. If you're going to give me Mark Kinzer with Carl Kinzer, that's what I'm going with. That's what I'm going with. Now, Danny Lasowski with Jimmy Carr, I believe really good pairing. So if you give them each their best crew chief, man, Mark Kinzer was really good. I think people probably don't give him enough credit because he started in the 51 and he was like a second car to Steve. And, once he got with his dad, though, it went through the roof. And he still had to drive it, man. Still had to drive it. Lasowski did it better, longer. Look, you can make arguments for either of them. This is tough. That's splitting hairs. That's tough. Question, has National Open fallen in crown jewel level hype in the past years? I had a discussion with somebody over the last 2 weeks, and they said, if the Grove does not raise it to six figures to win, does it lose that status? And I don't know. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 six-figure paydays right now. And my response was a question to them. Is Huset's a crown jewel? No. Doesn't have the history yet. But it has a six-figure payday. So does the Grove... I don't think the Grove's lost anything. The stands are jammed. It's still a fall spectacular, so to speak, in the biggest area of the country. All the bitching and complaining about the Grove, which happens nonstop throughout the year, it all stops during the National Open. So I would say no. Does it need to get to six figures? Yeah, it would look great. And yeah, it would look like they're keeping up with the Joneses. But from a financial standpoint and a business standpoint, is 25,000 more on top going to bring one more car? Probably not. They already sell out the place, or they pretty close. So is it going to justify a $25,000 bump? And nobody wants to look at it from a business standpoint. I do not think it's lost any luster over the past few years. No. Hi, Jeremy. Is the 57 and the 57 Works car the same equipment? Who does their motors? They're too different from what I gather. Kevin Kozlowski owns, I don't think so. I often wondered that too. But it's different. You get a different number out there. And Kevin Kozlowski, I think somebody maybe from California could answer that. I don't think it's the same stuff. I don't. No, I think it's all the same components. I think they use the same equipment or same, I guess, brands and components, but they're not the same. They're not the same. As far as Kevin Kozlowski owns the one on the West Coast, and Silva is the one in Indiana. I've often wondered that if they leak over into each other or how that works, but I've never seen Kevin Kozlowski's name mentioned when they're running in the Midwest or wherever. And when they're on the West Coast and Silva's out there, so looking far ahead, who do you think Schatz will be running for during the National Open at Williams Grove? Who? Lundstrom could come in here. Again, I say a second Jason Sides entry really wouldn't surprise me. Does he hook up with a Paul Silva? Paul Silva doesn't run the National Open. Does he bring Donnie Schatz in here and try and win the National Open? I mean, why not? Paul usually doesn't run many races from here on out, and why not Donnie Schatz in some big shows? As for where, do I have any information where he'll definitely run? Not at this time. I can only speculate just like everyone else. I can say what makes sense. A second Jason Sides entry would make sense to me. He's done it before. Lundstrom to come in here. It's a haul, but okay. I don't know. Go ahead, put it up. Well, will the Dallas Cowboys have male cheerleaders? I doubt it highly. I doubt it highly. Why not Schatz in the 57 and Basin in the 57W? And they've had two cars before. Agreed. So I'm quite sure Brad Alexander and Stephen Am Riley would stay with them, and then you just have Silva oversee them. I think that's possible. I think that's definitely possible. Unlikely, though. I think if Schatz gets in that car, it's going to be one. Would like to see a second 69K with Schatz for the Nationals. I said that to somebody. Wouldn't it be? I think he drives. The driving style fits. It fits. Absolutely fits. Squatting off two coming out of the Grove. Donnie's made a living doing that, just like Lance DeWeese, just like Darren Pittman, and that would work. But I don't know if Donnie has the resources to pull that off, meaning Kreitz. And I don't think he wants to focus on two cars for the National Open. I think he would probably feel, as much as I want to see that, I don't think that would be fair to Darren Pittman. And Kreitz worries about that stuff. Kreitz is very aware of how the look of things, the optics. So I don't think that would happen. Do you think Paul Silva is a Hall of Famer? Yeah. The wins, obviously. He's won 3 Knoxville Nationals. He's won the Kings Royal. Yeah. He's a Hall of Famer. When you do a deep dive with Silva, I probably have a chance of getting almost anyone other than Paul Silva. He doesn't do interviews. I tried to talk to him once at the track and got shut down and never tried again because I know he doesn't do interviews. I'd love to do a deep dive with him. Would love to do one, but he just doesn't do interviews. How about Lucas Wolf in a second 69K car? Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening. More historic car, PA team, 69K or 1Z? Both iconic cars. Because of the Outlaw wins, I'll say 69K. On the national stage, goes to Volusia. Not that the 1Z hasn't won races. I mean, Billy Pouch won Syracuse in it. You had Kevin Gobrecht in that car. I mean, you're looking at 1A and 1B there. I think 69K, though, just because of the Outlaw wins, the Kings Royal, things like that. And still going strong today. That's the other thing. They had engine trouble at Port Royal the other night. That's why they, and he was leading his heat race when it blew. Don't you consider the Tuscarora 50 a crown jewel race? No, I do not. This hasn't paid 50-some thousand because it goes up 1,000 every year. It's 58 this year. It just hasn't been long enough. You can't just do it for like 8 years, 9 years and say, oh, the Kings Royal has been, when 50,000 was a lot, it was 1984. The Knoxville Nationals is, since it's been one of the higher paying shows for years and years and years and years. And the National Open, just, you're in the biggest area of the country, and it's always been just, really, it used to end the season. But look, I love the Tuscarora 50. I do not put it in the crown jewel category yet. I do think it's gaining. I'll say that, but not yet. And it pays 58. Look, these races are getting steroid shots on their purses. So, no, not yet. But it's a race I enjoy a lot. I enjoy the week up there. When Outlaws rain out, do teams get tow money for the day? Do announcers and officials and staff still get paid? The tow money, you have to get to the track, I believe. There's some kind of because their sanction fee, it used to be that their sanction fee was once they took hot laps. So as far as their people getting paid, they get paid to be out in the road. They're salaried. As far as the teams getting tow money, I think they actually have to be there. They're not going to get tow money if they don't go there. So I think High Limit last year went to a monthly tow money. If I'm not, at least they did at the beginning of the year when they went to Florida, I believe it was. Now I think it's just in their franchise. Random question. Which do you prefer? Chat questions or phone calls? Doesn't matter to me. I'll do either. I don't have a preference. I'll answer anything, pretty much. Did Tim's win the 100,000 dinner at the Nationals? Not that I know of. No, not that I know of. Shots to Indy Race Parts 71 for Grove. Good option. But Parker Price Miller has been in that car most of the year. So I think he probably, but Bernie's also fielded multiple cars in a night. I don't know how, but he's done it. But yeah, not a bad option. Not a bad option if Parker Price Miller isn't going to come east. Does the Larson-Silva relationship get in the way of Schatz getting in that car? Mainly because Schatz has been critical of High Limit. No, Paul Silva's going to do what Paul Silva wants to do. And I don't think Larson would stop that. I don't think he's that guy. It's not like David Gravel getting in it, and I don't think Larson would stop David Gravel from getting in it. I don't see that in Kyle. Kyle's running NASCAR. He really doesn't have the... I just don't think he's going to... And I don't think Paul's going to listen. I think Paul's going to do whatever Paul wants to do. More historic car, Lamar 3C, Kading 69, Tarleton 21, or the 121? Well, I can tell you my favorite. Nothing beats the banana. Now, people on here might not know the banana, but it's the 121. It was yellow with the silver and it had the holographic stuff on the belly. But probably the most iconic car in California is the Kading 69. My favorite, the 121, the banana, as I called it. Jeremy is a second Macri car in his. Jeremy is, I don't think he'll do that. Here's something Greg Hodnett once told me. Drivers don't want to get beat by their own equipment. Let that sink in for a little. So 2 cars is tough. Like, I think Jason Sides can do it. You can't have a guy like Anthony Macari's one of the favorites to win the National Open. I don't think you muddy the water with a second car. I don't think you're doing that. It just seems a little dicey for me. Why does the 69K blow so many motors up? Normally they don't. This year, I think it's like 4. They've had, but remember, Davy Brown. They're not Davy Brown motors anymore. So, not saying there's anything wrong with the motors they have. I just think you go through that stuff. You go through these spells. Normally they don't. How long until we see weekly racing in PA die off and we get more of the rotation between Williams Grove, Port Lincoln, and Babs? I hope soon, because some of the weekly crowds I see are just putrid. I would get everybody on board. I have not been, I haven't shied away from saying I think there should be a consortium between the tracks. There should be almost a governing body here. You got all these tracks, and I think they need to work on their schedules, and I think they need to do what is best for all the tracks. And here's the other thing. I think from a sponsorship standpoint, if they all pulled together, they could use each other's stats to pull in bigger advertising. Instead of just using Lincoln or Babs or another track, just using their attendance for the year, you could use the attendance for all 4 or 5 tracks. It's a bigger number. It's more attractive for advertising. You're going to pull in more revenue, and you just divide it up. So I know there's pitfalls with it. I know there's problems that would arise. But yes, the weekly racing, I think tracks really need to take a hard look at it. Did Tony Stewart run as much dirt races when he was in NASCAR in comparison to Kyle Larson? Dirt schedule each year, I think it was about the same. I think it depended on the year. I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I can't say definitively yes, but it seemed like Tony Stewart, toward the end of his career, yes, he ran. And then, of course, the Kevin Ward thing happened, and I think it obviously died down for a year or so, year and a half, and then it picked back up again. I don't think he ran quite as many as Kyle does, but he was definitely involved. The Bob Weicker Memorial should be a crown jewel before the 50. Why? The race is only, how long has the Weicker been around? It hasn't been around near as long as the Tuscarora 50. I don't know how you can say that. Why? Because it pays $100,000? Okay, well, it paid $100,000 1 year. It's just, I just don't look. I like the Weicker. Don't get me wrong, but you can't make that thing a crown jewel ahead of the 50. I get all the. No, 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 no. Next question. No, no. Weekly racing thriving at Grandview. I mean, it's a modified track, but I hear track conditions aren't thriving at Grandview. I hear, in fact, it's pretty much one lane. Or no, that might be Big Diamond. I've heard some complaining about Grandview. But again, they almost were sold to Copart. And one of the reasons they weren't was the road going into the place. So, again, yeah, I mean, Grandview, one thing about Grandview is they've always had a really, really good fan base. And what surprised me about Grandview, and I'll give them all the props in the world for this, when Penn National went away, I thought that that might hurt them a lot. But it didn't. It didn't. When Silver Springs went away, it hurt the Super Sportsman division. The modified division at Grandview almost not touched by Penn National going away. So, again, kudos to Grandview for putting on a good product. Now, again, I heard some stuff this year about conditions. Again, don't know if it's true. I'm not in the modified ranks. That's more of a question for Mike Mallett or some other guys I know in the area, which I can ask them. But no, it seems like they have a strong, and boy, when they roll out that Freedom 76, they're falling out of the stands. Falling out of the stands. And when the sprint cars are down there with the modifieds, I think that's one of the best programs in the area for a two-division show. They have them at Babs at the end of the year, and they have them end of April, early May. And I think it's a great pairing. So, no, Grandview's good. I like going to Grandview. When are we going to Vegas together? You know, I got my photographer, the guy, Brent Smith. I got to say this, and maybe I hope it embarrasses him. He can't wait to play Uno next year in the casino. They're actually going to have Uno. So, look, I'm not playing Uno at the casino, but he's excited. So we will be at Vegas, I think, next year for High Limit again. So there you go. Take the ride, Corey. Take the ride. Where are you going on tour? No tour for me. I have a daughter who just turned 13 today, and I would like to see her grow up. So no tour. I already go to 100 races a year, so I don't need to add to that. I get to all the big shows. You know, this year, the extra trip was to Wisconsin. I get to the Kings Row, get to Knoxville, get to Vegas, get to Volusia, get to World Finals. And next year, I will go to probably the West Coast, either Gold Cup or Skagit. So, and this year, could see myself going to Texas as well for the High Limit season ender. So, that's enough trips for me. Don't spend my money, Sugar Bear. Don't spend my money. Brent's photo work is so damn good. Yeah, no. And honestly, Brent is great to work with. We kind of have the same work ethic, which is we're not in the bar at the end of the night. We go and we get our stuff done. So when I do a story, the picture's waiting there for me. He's great to work with. And actually a guy, traveling with him is good too. So we kind of have the same, although he gets on me because I don't eat tacos. That's his big complaint with me. I don't eat tacos. What track in PA has the most money behind it, do you think? Well, Port Royal's a fairground. So they have an agricultural society and they have a race committee. They've gotten grants in the past. It's kind of hard to put that in the same category as, say, a BAPS or a Lincoln or a Williams Grove because they're privately owned. So that's tough. The trio at Lincoln have done very well for themselves outside of racing, but they're businessmen as well. Williams Grove, Kathy Hughes has
has put money into the place. And BAPS, Scott Gobrecht is part ownership at Lincoln and also BAPS. But I mean, Port Royal, if they apply for grants and get them, I mean, and just the big events they have, that's such a hard question because they all are different. You have 3 guys at Lincoln, you have 1 person at the Grove, you have 1 person at BAPS, and then you have a fair board at Port Royal, and it's not privately owned. So yeah, that's kind of difficult. Sell merchandise. Take the leap. YouTube followers take care of racing channels. I know people keep telling me to, maybe in the off season, I'll do that when I have a little more time to kind of get everything in line for the season. Maybe I'll take the leap. If crown jewels are based on payout, then high bank nationals are crown jewels. Yeah, but I don't base it on payout. I base it on 3 components. History. It hasn't been around long enough. It's got to be history. You got to have some of the best guys there, a sanctioning group, and payout. It's got to be more than one thing. You can't, come on. And again, that's just my opinion. I think Wisconsin Speed Week might become a thing if the powers that be combine efforts. Isn't that the case with a lot of things in sprint car racing? People got to work together. Sport's not big enough. It's not the NFL. It's not the NBA. It's not Major League Baseball. All right, we got a couple more, then I'm going to get out of here. 3 shots. If he can't find a ride for 2026, gets an offer to a top team in high limit. He will never go high limit. He's been too critical of it. I don't think there's, I'll tell you what, if I would bet my rent check for a year on my apartment that he would not go high limit racing. There's no way. Jeremy, do you have any road trips planned? Will you get back to the West Coast? Yeah, next year I plan to get to the West Coast. I might go to Texas, maybe, in October, and I will be at Charlotte. Lernerville in September, if you count it. It's 3.5, 4 hours away from me. But other than that, no, that's it for the year. Does it worry you for Hodden Shield's future with Team 17 and having a down year like this year? They like him a lot. NOS likes him a lot. They sell a lot of merch. He's a good spokesman for them. It's going to come down to, do they want to win a title or not? Do they want to win a title? Or does Sheldon move on? I think those are the 2 components to that. But NOS likes him a lot. So I don't know if that's a Sten. I don't know who NOS would go with, either Stenhouse or Hodden Shield, if they parted ways. But that's all speculation. I've heard nothing about that team as far as, hey, look out for the end of the year. I've not heard a peep. Why is Shot so high limit? Didn't he jump course years ago when the other competitors Wu came in? No, Shots has always been a World of Outlaws guy. Ever since he started. He's always been World of Outlaws or bust. He is not going to go. The high limit thing just doesn't sit well with him. So Brad and him have had harsh words back and forth as far as in the media, which I guess is me interviewing him. And it's just not going to happen. He's a World of Outlaws guy through and through. All right, that's going to wrap up this edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. I appreciate everybody in the chat and the people who called. another good show, and we will be back next week. Stay tuned.